right, welcome back inside our Proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Mark Effelbane. He is the CEO of X1 Esports. And Mark, it's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, great. We're so excited that this day's arrived, IPO Thursday.
Yeah, it's exciting that you finally are trading now on the Canadian Securities Exchange, and it's under the ticker X1, so XONE. So first off, congratulations on that. Just tell me about sort of the work it's taking to get you to today.
Well, obviously going public is a long process. In Canada, there's a couple different options. You could do the RTO route, you can do the IPO route. The IPO route is more of an effort, but we think because of the great, kind of share structure, it's really worth it in the long run and provides a better investing opportunity to investors ultimately.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the company itself. I mentioned it's called X1 Esports, but that really doesn't sort of talk about the entirety of the company because you're a broad company with a lot of different areas.
Yeah, and maybe just taking even just a step back, just talk about a couple of major themes here. On one side, we have the video game industry, which is great because it continuously reinvents itself. As technology grows, new video games come out, better user experiences, new platforms, and video gamers want to invest in these new platforms. So as a result, we've seen tremendous growth in the video game industry, which in 2021 is worth around $180 billion and is growing 10 to 15% annually. This industry is highly fragmented, where you see lots of startups coming up and can become very successful, but then sometimes hit a little bit of a block, whether it's capital markets or other growth areas. And that's where X1 may come in terms of potentially acquiring some of these assets. The other major theme that's happening here is on the content creator economy, which is also very exciting. And this really ties into the growth of TikTok. And when we think about this, if you look back a little bit, historically, there's been billions of people in the world. If they want to watch video content, they always had maybe 5 to 10 different networks and 10 or 15 popular shows. Fast forward to 2022, at this point, you have over 50 million people globally consider themselves content creators, where they're publishing their own content, whether it's gardening tips, it's cooking tips, and really the biggest category is playing video games, which has really resonated with people out there. So as we combine these two industries, those are really the industries that X1 is playing in.
Yeah, my son's 11, and he constantly is watching people online just play the video game. And that's become an industry all of its own. Is people watching people play the game.
It really has. So if we look at the Twitch network, which was acquired by Amazon, on any given day, there's over 100,000 simultaneous video shows you can watch anytime you tune into Twitch. And Twitch has over 130 million users that are either providing video game streaming or just individuals watching others play video games. So it's turned into just a massive business.
So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about X1 Esports and sort of how the company operates. And I know you've signed a couple of term sheets for acquisition. So maybe sort of take us through the business model as you go forward here.
Yeah, and so when X1 got going around a year ago, we saw a great opportunity to invest, and we acquired a high growing team in Europe, which was an esports team that competes in tournaments for prizes. And this company was called Rix GG. The team operates 2 different teams in very high profile sports. We have a all women's team playing a game called Valorant, which is a shooter game. This is a top 3 team in Europe for us. And we have another team in the esports category that plays the League of Legends Wild Rift game, which is the most popular game out there, League of Legends, and this being the mobile version of that game. So historically, we invested into these areas thinking it's kind of a great foray into the larger video game space. And moving forward from there, we have our eyes set on a lot of really interesting assets that we think we could acquire before they get really big, acquire them when their valuations are still reasonable, and they really add to our picture. And at the end of the day, we're really trying to connect large brands to these Gen Z users, whether the users are fans of the players that are playing the games, or they're just users that are tuning in to watch these content creators, which bridge these 2 different areas. As we referenced in our prospectus, we've signed 2 term sheets to acquire 2 new businesses. One business is a business called Tyrus, which is an agency that really focuses on this content creator community, where they have many of the high-profile content creators, mostly all gamers, that have large audiences individually, but need a company like Tyrus to deploy all the content, optimize it, grow their audiences, and really manage the whole thing for them. And it's a very interesting business for us because it's based on subscription-based recurring revenues, which we really like. In addition, we've also signed a term sheet to acquire a media company that's focusing on one of the fastest growing games in the video game industry, a game called Rocket League. And this is a really interesting game. It's a very family-friendly game that has advertisers very interesting because it's basically you are competing against a very teched out car that you could really add a lot of add-ons for, increase the performance of the engine, add interesting decals to the car, and then you're basically playing a game of soccer in a stadium or arena, and it gets highly competitive. The business that we signed a term sheet to acquire is called Shift Rocket League, which effectively is the ESPN, if you're in the US, or the TSN of the sport, where you can come and get all the player news, the transactions, the fantasy sports that you need, and all the stats. And moving forward, we see a lot of these assets available to be acquired by us, where really when we add all the sums of these businesses, they have a lot more growth opportunity.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Mark, your background is interesting as well, because you were with another company as well that ended up being sold. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I co-founded a business called Fun Technologies in the 2000s. It traded under the symbol FUN. We IPO'd it on the Toronto Stock Exchange at a similar valuation as X1. And really, the nice thing is we're not reinventing the wheel with X1. It's really, in my view, a more modern version of the Fun Technologies business, where we rolled up 7 to 8 assets that were in the esports area, fantasy sports, and mobile gaming pay to play. Within about 3 years of that company going public, we sold it for $484 million to Liberty Media. So a great outcome for shareholders. And we're really looking at X1 as the modern version of the Fun Technologies.
Absolutely. Well, one thing for sure, this has been a lot of fun. Mark, thank you so much for the update. Congratulations again, trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange for the first time today under the ticker X1, XONE. And it's great to talk to you and get updated. And we'll talk again soon, Mark.
Great. Talk soon. Thanks a lot.
There's Mark Effelbain. He is the CEO of X1 Esports.